Hey, it is. Okay. Hello, Facebook world.
Okay. Well, now it just,
Here it is.
there we go.
I
I
got
think
you.
we're live now,
We're
finally.
live, guys. Hey, I'm excited.
Awesome. All right.
Technical difficulties. Difficulties. We are live. We are live.
So we're going to give everybody just a couple minutes to come on here. Like, even though, 20 minutes may not be enough,
There you go.
we apologize, everybody,
Now, getting
for,
notifications.
for being late. We actually um, ran into a snag here with the technology and learning how to do all this with Zoom incorporated to Facebook. We thought we had it figured out yesterday, and but according, I guess we were one step off. But anyway, I'm glad we're here. I apologize again for being later, or being late, but I'm glad that we're here now. And so.
Hello. Hey, Facebook. Thanks for joining us here today. My name is Carlos. The guy next to me here is Jayson Simmons. He is launching out an awesome community called Parenting Accurately. And he has asked me to come on and just to say what's up with him as he's going out with this. I have been with him through over many, many years. I'd say, what, 20 plus, 25? I don't know, maybe too many years.
Since high school.
My gray hairs. Anyways, so the whole aspect of this is just to really give you guys an idea of what Parenting Accurately is all about. To introduce you to Mr. Jayson Simmons here, and I have a privilege to do this, and I'm so excited for having me. Thank you, Jayson, for having me on for this, and to have everybody else now learn about what I know about what you've been laboring over many, many years in the making. As God has laid this on your heart for people who are desiring to know more about this. And so I'm just going to open it up, and thank you for everybody again for joining us. Jayson, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself here, and then we'll get into a little bit about what exactly Parenting Accurately is.
Okay, thank you. And again, Carlos, thank you for being here and for the lifelong friendship that we've had. It's been good. It's been awesome, and it's great to have somebody that you can walk alongside with in life, and somebody to glean from, go to for encouragement, for correction, or whatever is needed at the moment. And you've been a huge friend to me, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
So I'm originally from Iowa. I'm a Midwest boy, and I've been out west though since I was a teenager, and lived in Arizona for quite a few years, and I've been here in Southern California for the past 5 years. And I have a wife, beautiful wife, and I'm a father to 6 kids. So 3 are my biological kids, and then my wife brought in 3 kids to the marriage as well. So we parent 6 kids together. And so that's been an amazing journey, an amazing experience. And I think there's a lot to say about that, but we'll save that for a future broadcast.
Awesome, man. That's great. And then, so almost like the Brady Bunch in a sense, right?
Totally. Yeah. Every time I share that, everybody always says, "Oh, the Brady Bunch." For
6
sure.
kids.
2020 style Brady Bunch.
There you go.
Not the 1970s.
Right. All right, man. So tell everybody a little bit about exactly what is Parenting Accurately.
Parenting Accurately has many layers to it, and it's going to evolve. Right now, Parenting Accurately is a place, it's a community where people can come to, parents can come to glean from others in the community style. It's going to be very highly interactive. It's also a place, it's a resource where people will be able to come to receive help, resources on learning, how to parent in today's age. How do you parent a blended family, as I have? How do you parent teenagers? It's a huge area. At least it's passionate to me, and it's going to evolve into something I see it becoming very, very large, very impactful for people, for families. I'm going to be bringing on special guests to do training and teaching in different areas of family communication style, like just many different things that will add value to parents that are, having struggles or working with their kids.
That's so good, man. And I've been through this journey with you, and just in hearing and seeing you go through so many things. And you always hear stories about people being able to, fight, fight for their families and fight for all that stuff. But, never have I ever had someone in my life as close like you, that I've seen with my own two eyes and hear with my own two ears, that someone who can fought so much for their family. And I so appreciate that, man, of you. And segueing from that to letting everybody know a little bit of why did you decide to start parenting accurately?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I decided to start parenting accurately because I have made many mistakes in my parenting journey.
Welcome to the club, right?
I feel very sorry for my first daughter. I think everybody could say this if you're a parent, you've been a parent for a while. Your first child, I mean, who's ready for parenting? Who really, when you have your first child, you're ready to go. I mean, we think we are, and we prepare the room, we get the strollers, we get the car seat, and we do whatever we can to prepare. But the parenting life, the parenting journey goes long beyond childhood. It goes long beyond, it goes into the teenage years. And I think that is the area. This is why I'm doing this, because as kids reach the preteen and the teenage years, I see that parents become less connected with their kids. They become, kids are they're in a very interesting season of life. They're going through puberty. They're becoming more aware of themselves. They're developing their own personalities. Their willpower is often at its peak. And then you add school, social media, and all of those things to that. And then this has become, and I believe that social media is a part of it. School systems may be a part of it. But now, teenage suicide is the second most leading cause of death. It's crazy.
Crazy.
That's why I believe that there's an opportunity to help parents parent more accurately, especially in the preteen teenage zone. And there's not a lot of resources out there on that. And truthfully, it's a scary time. It's a very scary time. And so this movement, what I'm going to be doing is offering help and support to parents during that time.
Yeah, it's so good. I think so many people, we try to find books, we turn to books, and I've read, many parenting books and stuff, because like you said, who's ready? I wasn't ready at all. So in reading those and seeing how, and when you bring it into, different situations, such as you say, a blended family and all that stuff, you can read those books. And I think something you mentioned in our conversation we were having a little bit earlier was that the whole aspect of having someone to turn to, that community. When I'm reading a book, I can't ask a question of the author. I'm like, hey, you seem like to be an expert, or whatever. And I think that's something that you bring, that brings different to the table here, is about this whole community that you're building, is that you're there to provide support for those other parents that are out there. And a part of that is like learning from each other and hearing from people who know about this. And I think that's just so great. But get me over into a little bit more of the story as to why you created this, because this is something that I think when parents, they are faced with an issue, and this is, and I think I love the fact that you brought up the social media aspect, because the social media aspect, we're now counteracting what social media can do. So social media can be doing all this whole thing and ruining it for our kids, but we're going to come back with a vengeance as parents, and we're going to come back to really be attentive to our children's lives, even though they're teenagers. So tell me a little bit about more of the story that caused that spurt within you, regarding your own situation that caused parenting accurately to kind of sprout out of that.
Sure. Several years ago, my daughter, who was 14, was going. Of course, the divorce is very difficult to go through, especially with kids. It changes their world, and she'd been, handling that or dealing with that, and on top, just life. She was also in middle school, and got around the wrong kids. They constantly were talking about their problems and how dark life was. They talked a lot about suicide. They talked a lot about death. And I didn't really realize to the extent of how she felt. And a wake up call for me was the day that she took 33 Midol pills to try to end her life. And
Crazy.
I'll never forget that day and that evening. I took her to the hospital. My wife, Erica, was with me. We were supporting her. We took her to the hospital, and we had to go to, we had to drive an hour and a half away to a children's hospital because they couldn't treat her there because they were not a children's hospital. So I remember vividly following the ambulance that night. It was 3:00 in the morning.
Wow.
Following the ambulance, following my daughter to the hospital as she was being treated by the paramedics, and they were watching her. And I realized that at that moment, of course, I entered into a phase in a season of a lot of self-reflection, in almost like an emergency type of situation where I knew that I had to engage with my daughter. I had to find out what was going on. I had to find out the roots of the problem. Taking the pills and wanting to, end her life was terrible, but there was a deeper root, and I needed to find that out as fast as I could. So that, that journey, and I know, with the suicide rates so high now, 2019 had the largest spike of teen suicide in 20 years at least. So with all this happening, and I know with what I went through, I had to overcome a lot of guilt. I had to overcome a lot of condemnation. I had to overcome, terrible thoughts of, look, you're a terrible dad. How can you be a father to 6 kids when you can't even take care of one?
Oh.
All of these things that I went through, and really, thankfully, thank to God, I overcame them. The bigger issue, though, for me in this season was, how do I reach my kid? How do I dive into her heart and start, like, help her see herself as I see her? That was one of the things that she always told me. She said, and I always encourage my kids. I always have. And I always told them, you're beautiful, you're gifted, you're important. And yet her value of herself was nothing like I saw her. She could not see herself like I saw her. So going through that event really sparked something up in me, and even in her. Actually, now she's telling me she wants to help me. So soon, everybody in the Parenting Accurately community, you're going to meet my daughter, and you're going to hear from her, and she's going to share, her journey from her point of view as well. So maybe that'll be an opportunity to where you might want to get your kids involved and hear from her, like what it was like and what she did, the steps that she had to take to come out of the depression, to come out and remove the anxiety. And so that's really why that sparked it in me and really birthed the desire to, number one, do a better job of being a parent through the teenage years.
Yeah.
And now I want to help others as well.
And
help equip them, help encourage them, and be a support for them.
And that's one of the things that I appreciate about you so much, man. I've seen, throughout, I have multiple friends who have multiple kids and whatnot in the school system and all that stuff. And sometimes as parents, we take the back seat on that. We work, we have our mind, set with what's going to be cooking for dinner and all that stuff. And we kind of lose some of that ability to be in their lives. We think, oh, the school's going to take care of them. The counselors at the school knows what's up, and they lend it over to them. And I remember talking with Jay and just hearing about, like, hey, the counselor's saying this, and we're like, no, man, we're not going to go with what the counselor says, man. Yep. As a parent, you have a gut feeling sometimes, and just what you have to go with. And I've seen you, Jay, just jump into it, like a cannonball, like right into the middle of the pool, and you just like slammed it. And so I think one of the next questions I was going to ask you is, what will those who join this community get from it? But I think it's kind of a made aware of kind of what you've been saying, is that having people join this community will be great, because the fact is that you have some experiences that you've gone through, some things that you've actually done that have been good. And, not everything that you can read from a book is not every child is a cookie cutter kind of situation, right? Every single child is different, from the first all the way to second to the third to the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, whatever. All these children are different. And so how do you go about doing this? And so having a community like what you're creating right here, man, is just amazing. I can't wait to, even be, a part of it, to learn more for myself. I have a little 8-year-old daughter. And so I think it's going to be great for myself to make sure that I'm keeping aware of little things like that. But for this community, one thing that, you have is not only these people that will be part of this community, but you also have another aspect that I love that Jayson brings into this and that he brought into his life in regards to his children and stuff. And that's God. And so, having just each other, we can be as wise as we can be. We can listen to the greatest experts, and they're all great, and they've all been given that to us. But we have another person, which is the Holy Spirit. It would come. God's going to help us to be the best parents that we can be, as we make sure that we are doing it right and that we are parenting accurately. It's not just about the right way, but it's accurate. I think I like it because it's like a pinpoint. And
Right.
I love that's what you bring to it, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One funny story, the idea of parenting accurately, the reason why I chose the word accurately, I see a bow and arrow, and
So
I don't
good.
know. I grew up shooting a bow and arrow. My dad taught me at a young age. We would shoot in the backyard all the time. This was in Iowa, and I remember, accuracy and being on point, right? That's really what it's about. Hitting the mark. As parents, we hit the mark sometimes, but we also miss the mark sometimes. And what do we do when we miss the mark?
Yeah.
Do we pick up another arrow and shoot again, or do we give up?
Yeah.
And
So
I
good.
think you mentioned it earlier, and we were talking about parenting teenagers. It's so much easier. It's tough. We're busy. In most families, you have two parents working. So teenagers spend a lot of time alone. They spend a lot of time on their own without their family. Or maybe they're taking care of the little brothers and sisters. And so they spend that time learning from social media, all their friends, and they're pulled, towards them. And so I just feel like it's super important that parents hit that mark every day. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not asking my kids, like, what's going on? How are you doing? What about this? What about that? As teenagers. And at first they didn't like it. But, now if I'm quiet one day, they come to me, they look for me.
That's
And they're
awesome.
like, what's going on? You're quiet. I'm like, they secretly love the love, because I believe that's a form of love. When you show them attention, you show that you care, kids need that. And so but I remember a time where I really did miss the mark as a kid. And if my sister's watching, hopefully you don't remember this, but I remember vaguely, it was a long time ago, and we leave the bad things behind us, and we forget about them, right? But I remember shooting a bow and arrow, and I actually hit my sister with an arrow. I shot her,
Oh no.
and unfortunately, I believe the arrow had a rubber tip on it. It was not that dangerous, but it left a big bruise, and of course, I got whipped pretty bad for it. but I missed the mark. But that didn't keep me from picking up the bow and arrow again and going out and trying to perfect it. As parents, it's an ongoing thing. As parents, it's an ongoing adventure. It's an ongoing thing. We don't give up if we miss it. We keep going. And I believe that when you connect with me and you connect with the Parenting Accurately group, like I told you earlier, I'm going to be bringing on some special guests, and they're going to add value to your life, to your family, as a parent, as a person. The core of parenting is really comes out of who we are. Most people have heard the saying, hurt people hurt people. Well, obviously you're a parent, but if you're a hurt parent, the chances of you hurting your kids is going to be extremely high, because it's a very close relationship. And so there's going to be opportunity. We're going to provide ways for you to walk through some healing for yourself, to learn and to grow even more as a person yourself, so that you can be put in a position to parent accurately. So there's much, much more. I don't want to give it all away, but there's a lot
It's so
more.
good. I'm like, keep going, bro. Keep going. Oh man, that's so great. Yeah. Everybody,
But
man. Yeah,
it's going
this
to be
is
good. We're excited.
I'm excited for you, man. I think what you have to offer is just tremendous. Like I said, I've been with you in those conversations and I've learned so much from you myself. So you're awesome, man. And so let them know how to connect beyond just Facebook here. I know you
Yeah.
got some stuff that for the people who are watching and for anybody who desires to join the community of Parenting Accurately.
So first, we do have the Facebook page, Parenting Accurately. please join us there, connect with us. That's where a lot of these things are going to be happening. There's going to be an opportunity in the next coming week, in a couple of weeks, to go through what I'm going to call a 5-day parenting challenge, where for 5 days, we're going to come on here and it's going to be a live interactive teaching. And it's going to be a challenge. I'm going to challenge you. We're going to and teach you different ways to be able to be a more effective parent and get into the lives of your kids. Another way to connect with us is on parentingaccurately.com. Right now, actually, I have a free guide. I wrote an ebook there it's on the my number one way that you can connect and grow your relationship with your kids. So that's free. If you go to the website, parentingaccurately.com, just put in your email address there, and then that'll be sent to you. And so I think that'll be valuable and be able to help a lot of people.
It's a great start. It's a great start for sure for any parents out there. And then if you could not only read the book, we talked about little books there earlier, but to be able to come on to this community and to be able to join and be in a place where you can talk openly, learn, and then also share some of your experiences, just like Jayson will be doing here on this place, and then seeing how much it actually affects like his children. I mean, it's amazing to see his daughter grow and to see her heart grow into helping others just as much. And so that's what we're here for, right? We're here to, and I think your point about making and not missing the mark, and or even when you do miss the mark, and not allowing that to keep you from being the great parent that you can be, is so important. But you have to be told that. I think you've told me that you can be a great parent, dude. Like, so I appreciate, man, so much. You're great, dude.
Really, it's important that everybody understands that you're not disqualified as a parent, no matter what situation you might find yourself in, no matter what you're going through or how you even see yourself. If you have children, you are qualified to be a parent. I think that's the only qualification, and it's really not even the qualification that you need, because if you don't have kids of your own, you could still parent and influence others, but you're not disqualified. And so if you feel that way, I want you to connect with me, because we need to work through some stuff and get you on the right track to where you can be the number one influence in your kids.
So good, man. Oh, so good, man.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's your launch, man. This is going to be so good.
Yes. So one last thing that I'll mention, I believe we'll probably be going live tomorrow. I have a special guest coming on. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm not going to give you a time yet because they haven't confirmed the time. So as soon as I get that confirmation, I will create an event and let everybody know. But you're not going to want to miss it. She's a family therapist, family counselor, super big heart for families. And I've seen some of her work. She's tremendous in the area of communication. And communicating in family is super important. And especially with teenagers, it becomes more and more difficult. They say things that are like, what? You're coming up with new words. And but it's going to be a really good time. So you're not going to want to miss that. So stay tuned.
All right, man. So good. All right. Thanks everybody here on Facebook world and wherever you're at for joining us. And I trust and I hope that you head on over to parentingaccurately.com and you pick up that little ebook that Jayson has created. It's a little guide. It's pretty awesome. And just join us on the next event that gets posted.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.